Hi, welcome to part 2 of the Finding Your Purpose in Life, Your Passion, and How Not to Fail at Having a Great Career video. And in the first part, we talked about finding that passion, what that means, and starting to talk about the difference between passion and interests, and why it's difficult to find it, and why we stop ourselves. We started going through that, and now we're going to go more into that with excuses that often come up of why we think we can't do what we're passionate about and have a career at it, finding our purpose in life. So one of the excuses is that great careers are just a matter of luck, and if I stand around and I'll just try to be lucky, and if I don't, I'll just have a good career. So to me, that's really like having a plan B. You have plan A and you have plan B. And what happens when you have plan B is that your attention is split. Even though it's more on plan A, if it starts not to work out, then you'll go to plan B. And that's okay, that's fine. I did that for sure, for plenty of it. It's like have the fallback, the failback. Well, when you have the fallback, then you're not really going for it and putting all your attention and focus and resources and heart and really your passion into what you feel your purpose is. Another excuse that Larry talks about, Larry Smith, is that special people pursue their passions, but those people are geniuses, and that's not me. Well, you don't know if you're going to be a genius at something if you don't fully put yourself into it. And maybe you fully put yourself into it and you find it's not your passion. That's great. That's one more thing that's not for you. And of course, the difference between an interest and a passion is fully putting yourself and fully engaging, and you're totally on fire about it, like I am with this stuff. And whatever your passion is, it could be fly fishing and being a fly fishing instructor, or it could be tennis instructor, or it could be owning a sporting goods store, or it could be being a yoga instructor, or it could be being an investment banker. You really love investing, like you get into it, kind of like Warren Buffett. All that's great, that's fine. If that's what you feel your purpose is, and that's how you want to make a difference, that's awesome. If you feel your heart into it, that's the main thing about the passion. It's not what you do, it's how you feel about it. Some other excuses are that I'm a nice and normal person, and these kind of people don't have passion. And people that are passionate are obsessive, and they're weird, and they're strange, and I can't be like that, or that's not okay for me to be like that. I'll tell you what, I'm a total personal development and human consciousness geek, and overcoming fear and going for your dreams and seeking enlightenment, all that stuff. I love it, and I read on it, and I read the history of religions, and I go into the philosophy, and I do the practices, and I try things out, everything from old school, Buddhist meditation to neurofeedback. I don't care. And if people think I'm weird, cool, because I just love it. So, that's how the passion comes forth. It also overrides those fears, even though the fears come up. And I'm strange and eccentric about it. And a lot of people would probably say, oh, that's weird. But I actually find people are all, that's really interesting. And they get interested in it because they haven't come across somebody like me that's done what I've done, even though there are a lot of people out there, I guess, doing what I do, I think. I'm not really sure. It doesn't matter. Another one is the old school notion that somehow still gets ingrained, that if I work harder, and I think this is changing, if I work hard, I'll have a good career, and if I work even harder than that, I'll have a great career and be rewarded. As if it's that linear. And it seems, with the global landscape and outsourcing and all that, I think that's all really changed, as we know, with layoffs and stuff. So I think the thinking is shifting, although there are people that still live by that virtue, I think, and maybe it's working for them, but for me it isn't working. It's also working smarter, not harder. When you have your passion, it doesn't feel like you're working, but you also may not have to work as hard as you think you do, depending on how you set things up. So it's important to know that your passion is your greatest love to help you create the highest expression of yourself. whereas interests aren't the same thing. I did mention before that about 1 in 20 or something, Larry Smith was saying, of your interest will become your passion. So you have to really be experimental and try things out. And then, once we say we tap into our passion, now let's talk about perseverance and consistency. Inventing excuses not to take action. Even though here's our passion, we love it, and then we're like, well, we got to do work. There's actually going to be work, and there's still things that come along with it that we don't necessarily want to do, that we have to do. I know I struggle with getting blog posts finished because I am worried they, sometimes won't be good enough, or I won't be able to produce as many as I want, and I want to get 10 done a week and I only get 1, and then I put all this pressure on myself. So those are excuses really that are coming up to stop me from doing my passion. Do I sometimes not output like I'd want to? Yeah, but I still keep going, and I make a video like this and I talk about the struggle, and the passion will override it. And all the numerous fears that come up: afraid to look ridiculous, afraid to try and afraid to fail, afraid to succeed even, afraid to tell people that we're doing this and that if we don't do it, then we don't hold true to our word and that we'll look like a failure. You know what? I've done that so many times with things, and people are very forgiving. I find your friends are very forgiving. And they're like, oh, you're on to something else. Okay. And I've been told I'm the kind of person that jumps in and immerses and then I move on oftentimes. And I've done a lot of that until I've kind of come to this. And actually, I failed once before at doing personal growth and personal development stuff. In a sense, I mean, I did a coach training, I coached people, but I wasn't confident enough to do it like I'm stepping out now to do it. And that was, 7 years ago, I think. And now I'm back to it. So I didn't fail at it, yet I did at the time. And everybody thought I was doing coaching. And even for a year after, I'd see people and go like, how's coaching going? That's really cool you're doing. And I was like, oh, I'm not doing it anymore. But now I'm back. But in a totally different way, with a true passion behind it that overrides my fear. And maybe it took more life experience to say, okay, now I feel I can be a coach. You can't tell how your life's going to show up on the roads and twists and turns. So that's part of it too, is to continue exploring and not give up on seeking what your passion is. And in my example, I touched on it and then I let it go. So, and then I'm back to it. So here I am again. I'm very happy about that. No matter what we do, it's like we'll justify, wherever we're at. So if we end up in a great job, we're like, oh, well, I didn't want to give up my relationships and all that for the passion. And that's just one way of framing it. We'll always justify it. It's something like cognitive resonance or dissonance or something. There's a concept like that will justify our situation, which, I guess helps us survive. So all I can say is that keep seeking, keep going out there. And if you have found your passion and are seeking it, and have got into what you think is your passion, then go with it and persevere and be consistent in your action every day and doing something towards it, and you'll get there. It's having that underlying no doubt that it's going to happen regardless of the fear. And when the fear shows up, it always overrides it. That's been my experience of it. So I hope that this little 2-part video series on finding your purpose in life and your passion helps. And I'd also like to hear your thoughts on what you've learned and are finding on route to living your passion, living your purpose, or trying to search it out. Okay? And as always, check out Evolution, URL below. Subscribe to the newsletter. I've got good stuff coming at you. I'm going to have free meditations and visualizations and ebooks and offering online courses and coaching, all that stuff in the future. So. But more than anything, I want you to get value out of it and learn from it and participate in the conversation, which evolution is. So until next video, until we meet in the comments or wherever, take care and continue seeking your passion, living your purpose. Bye.